Hi guys. So I want to talk about something. I guess it's not serious. Whatever whatever you think is serious is whatever you think is serious. But I want to talk about like my dashas. If you don't know what a dasha is, you're probably not a Vedic astrologer. But my dasha, there's Sun dasha, Moon dasha, Rahu dasha. I think I missed one before that. There's Jupiter dasha. There's Rahu dasha. If you're in Rahu dasha, be careful. You're gonna go through a lot of trouble. If you're not like a practicing yogi, or if you're not practicing spirituality, Rahu Dasha is one of the most difficult, tumultuous times. And then there's Jupiter Dasha and then Saturn Dasha. So they each kind of correlate to having their own kind of description. So, I would say that right now I'm in a Saturn Rahu Dasha, because obviously I'm working very hard. I'm working very hard, and honestly, who really reads almost 500 books in less than 2 months? That's ridiculous. I'm definitely in a Saturn dasha. Definitely in a Saturn dasha, and with all this weird stuff happening, this energetically stuff. Some would say that I'm in a Jupiter dasha. I'm in a Saturn Jupiter dasha, or some would say that I'm in a Jupiter Saturn dasha. But so I'm thinking it's more of a Saturn Rahu dasha. It's like the cusp of Jupiter, so it's like Saturn Rahu Jupiter dasha. So the cusp of Rahu and Jupiter, because it's like in a sense it's the Rahu dasha is almost ending. So all this negativity, all this bad stuff is kind of disseminating. It's disseminating. It's kind of releasing all this bad energy from the Rahu, from the all this bad. It's not bad karma, because I don't have karma. Everyone must think that I have bad karma from somewhere, which is kind of ridiculous. Trust me, I have no bad karma, and I have no good karma, and all this good things that I do is not for good karma. I don't need karma. I honestly don't need karma. Once you reach a certain threshold of having such good karma, you don't need karma anymore. You don't deal with karma. You don't have karma. You're at a plateau. It's like going up a stairs. Once you go, you're in the bottom floor, and once you go to the attic, there's no karma. There's nowhere you can go, and they say you can go downstairs, but I actually don't believe that, because it's you're not, in some sense, if those people who say you can go downstairs again have never read the Bhagavad Gita. So it's just reminiscent of the fact that a lot of these people, even bhikkhus, especially bhikkhus, and pandits, and all these Christians and stuff, they've never read anything besides skimming things, and it's just kind of ridiculous. You can't go backwards in it once you reach a certain plateau. Once you reach a certain plateau, honestly, you really can't. You can't go backwards. And I've reached enlightenment a long time ago, and so you wonder why, these people say oh, you're going backwards in time. You're going backwards by doing all these bad things, or you're going. Because a lot of it is just it's just a lot of fear, and not understanding the science of spirituality, the science of the religion. They don't understand that science, and a lot of people say you're not going anywhere forwards. But if you go backwards, it's not really you're going backwards. You're retroactive. No, it's not retroactive. It's retrograde. You're actually going retrograde, which means you're going so slow forwards that it seems like you're going backwards. It's just just astrology. It's people might be going so slowly because it's they have a tourniquet on their legs, and honestly, there's no way you can run fast with that kind of tourniquet. You can't really run fast with the tourniquet, so you just can't. So it seems like you're going backwards. It seems like you're doing all this effort for nothing, but you're not. So I'm in the Saturn Rahu dasha, and so a lot of it is just you're doing really hard work, and you're doing really good, and so the next phase is a Saturn Jupiter dasha. So Jupiter dasha is really really beneficial. It's one of the most beneficial experiences other than the Jupiter dasha, because the Jupiter dasha really does a lot of blessings. So I've been given a lot of blessings. It seems like it just fell in my lap, and Jupiter dashas won't just happen to you out of nowhere. If you're a businessman, you're not gonna get a reward of becoming a musician unless you pick up a guitar or pick up a trumpet or something or pick up a harp. You're not gonna get you're not gonna get the reward of having something related to music. You have to work for it, and so these dashas are like signifiers of your karmas, and like so once you pass a certain threshold, like if you have enough spiritual karmas, you become enlightened, and like there's phases of enlightenment. Obviously there's like satori, which is like instant enlightenment, and that's like really kind of like instant satori is kind of like a misnomer, because it's like in a sense you've been building up to it for a long time, and then something just crashes, and then it's just like, wow, I've just hit this immense plateau. And so it's like people realize that like some people I'll just talk about myself for now. Like people, there's a lot of people people who, for me, like my dasha, astrology is not like pigeonhole you to a certain place. It doesn't say like you're this or that. It doesn't say like you're destined to do something. I mean, it gives you like here, I'll explain to you with palmistry or with chiromancy. Like chiromancy is like this. So like you start off with a certain size hand, right? These fingers are certain size hands, but my hands weren't that size as when I matured. When I matured and my hands were certain size, they technically can't grow unless they say that it can't grow. Your finger, because like the length of your fingers is a signifier of some sort of destiny. But like, I mean, it's almost impossible to grow your fingers, so you really can't. So you can only they can only shrink. So that's the thing. Like if you do certain things, they'll shrink more and more. Like if you're, I mean, because like essentially like these long fingers, I have long fingers. Like they're not that long. They don't seem that long, but they're pretty long. And like these are like thin, long thin, long, like it's kind of artful fingers. So these fingers signify like intellectualism, a philosopher's fingers, someone who's like rational, not necessarily rational. I am rational, but like not necessarily like that's the biggest signifier. It's more like you're like a dreamer, you're creative, you have like inclination to be a writer, which is all true, of course, which is all my palmistry, my chiromancy. It's all the chiromancy, but sometimes you just have like, you can always change your lines. You can always change your lines, because actually the lines in your hand, just like your body and your cells, they recycle. So I mean, and technically, if you're going in the same trajectory, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. They're just going to stay the same. But sometimes you'll do something and that is out of the norm, and it'll trigger like a butterfly effect, and that'll change your chiromancy. And so, if you're a chiromancer, like that that does in fact change a lot. It changes your destiny a lot, and So I talked to this one psychic. I've talked to like a lot of psychics on my way, like through my journey through life, and like one psychic said that I would when I was after I dated this girl Sarah. I'm sure a lot of you know her. This woman came up to me and she's like, "Harry, I need to talk to you. Like one day you'll marry someone who treats you better than her, like a lot better than her." And I was like, "That makes sense. I mean, trust me, that makes a lot of sense." And then like so I was always like, how can I thank this girl? How can I thank this woman? How can I thank this woman for like telling me that one day I'll date someone who treats me better than her? Because I mean, honestly, I'm not like a gossip column, but like, anyways, she didn't treat me as well as people think she did, and so we wonder why why people are seen in a relationship, and like why you're kind of like you're dealt the card where you have to like show a face where it's like it was a good relationship, because like I want, like if you say something bad about the person, in some way you're saying something bad about yourself, which is not the case. That's very abusive. You have people say like, oh, he was fine or she was a nice person, when really they were really in person they're fine, but like in public, no, I mean in public they're fine, but in person they're not. And then so like there's always like the two faces or the three faces, and as the Japanese like to say, three faces. But once you take off your masks and like you're always removing your mask, it's different. Like, you don't have to wear this like obtrusive thing, and like, so a lot of people think that like, I'm not here to complain about my relationships, because like, there was good and bad, but a lot of it was bad. A lot of it was bad, and like, I kind of see like how people say like, oh well, Harry has a lot of luck with girls, because like he's always had a girlfriend. He's always been lucky, and like, sometimes you pick girls because God picks them. God picks them for a reason, and it's not because they're such good people. It's more like, I mean, not always. Like your final girlfriend, or she becomes your wife, it's there for a reason. It's there for, unless if you have a good Saturn, which I have a great Saturn. I have like the perfect Saturn, by the way. I have the perfect Saturn, and Saturn will make you wait for a lot of things. Saturn will make you wait until you're perfectly ready for things. And like, I talk about like astrology a lot, and like astrology isn't really the end all signifier of things. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Saturn will tell you one thing, but like there's always options. There's always options to switch, to like change things and to be different. And there's always options to like say like, I'm a Gemini, or like I'm a Pisces, or I'm like a Leo, so I have to do this and this. I mean, it's just a guide map for your soul to act in certain ways, but you can always change. You can always like have some sort of, that sort of like a eureka moment, and just like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to act like that. And like, I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about myself, because like that's just, I've always been on the spiritual path. Like, first of all, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so it was like, it was only like meant to be that I become a yogi, because like yoga is less judgmental than Jehovah's Witness, a lot less judgmental. So it's like you're always like pining away for something that saves you, if you're of this kind of persuasion, because my North Node is in Pisces, so I've always had that inclination of being spiritual, and like, so as you know, like, if your Pisces is North Node, then your South Node is Virgo, which is good. So Virgo is kind of like more like the Virgin, which is still very spiritual, by the way. It's still Virgo is like the handmaiden, the Virgin, the clean person. Like, my room is totally spotless. I mean, I wouldn't eat off my floor, because I'm a Virgo. I'm a Virgo South Node, but you could probably eat off my floor. And like, the things like that, things like I mean, I have a good astrology. That's the thing. My astrology is perfect. My astrology is so perfect, and not everyone has good astrologies. And like, I realize that like, just because I'm a nice person, just because I'm really a good person, that doesn't mean everybody's a good person. That doesn't mean but I always get confused, because like, sometimes I get confused when I'm like, not everyone's a good person, but then I say like, the devil is a good person, and then I say demons are good people. But that doesn't make, they're holy beings, and they have a purpose. Just like everyone has a purpose, but like, you got to think of like, who you're choosing to be with. Do you want to be with bad people? Do you want to be with people that will talk badly of you? And like lie about you, or say bad things about you for no reason. And just like out of the blue, they'll say, well, this person is a bad person, or this person, smells bad or something. And then the other person will say like, I didn't really ask you how this person smelled. I didn't actually ask you that. But they'll just like offer it up to people, and it's just like, it's just like when you date someone in a relationship. I mean, where you kind of like, they're switching girlfriends or boyfriends. They're switching girlfriends and boyfriends, and they're like, well, I can be with you. I just have to like break up with this person. And you're like, technically, you don't want to do that, because it's like more like these people are just lining up themselves to cheat on you right after, because if they're kind of like mentally and physically ready to cheat with their boyfriends or girlfriends, then they're moving on. They're moving on, and they move on really quickly. And like, a lot of people don't mature enough to stop that kind of that mode. So if you're in an open relationship, I mean, technically that's not really a relationship. It's just fucking people left and right. I mean, no, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's not a relationship. It's just like, you just go back and fuck this one person over and over again, but you fuck everything that walks until you have a relationship. That's not open relationships aren't relationships. It's not even an agreement. It's just like, I'm gonna fuck this person over and over again, and I'm gonna fuck other people over and over again. and then I'll come back to you because I want to fuck somebody again when I'm alone. That's not a relationship. That's technically not a relationship. It's hedonism, really. It's fucking hedonism, and like most of you probably don't know what the fucking hedonism is, and you probably have to Google that shit. But good luck, guys. Anyways, my deep thoughts are always free. My deep thoughts are always free because since I never get paid for things, why should I charge for free information, really? Because it all lies in books. They're all in books. I mean, I take a lot of classes, because I just like taking classes. I like being smarter than you. I take a lot of classes. I like being smarter than you. I walk down the street. I'm like, I'm smarter than you. I just do that. I just do that every day. I'm just like, hi, how are you? And, I wait till someone like coyly walks by me and like looks at me like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And they're always like, you look so cool. I need to talk to you. And then it's just like, dude, then say hi. And then don't be a little douchebag. Why? Because they always do that to you. They're always, if you're an intellectual, or if you're like a philosopher, I know a lot of people like that. Or if you're like an artist or you're a musician or someone special like that, a lot of people just want to come talk to you. But if someone's weird, you realize that like they don't talk to you unless they have a reason. And is there really a reason to? Do you really need a reason to talk to someone like that? Like if for instance, like if Mick Jagger was there, would you really need a reason? Would you like have to drop your coffee on them to say like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that? And it's not. I'm not talking about myself. Actually, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about like how people are so funny. When they want something, they don't say they want it. They don't say they want it. They actually like pretend they don't want something. But they actually do want that same thing. But it sounds weird. It's just like, cause you realize like some people do that. Some people actually do that. They're like, I actually don't want that, but they actually do want that. It's like when you're like, what do you want to eat? And you're like, I don't know. I'm never. I don't know. I don't know. And they act like they're not hungry, and they haven't eaten like all morning, and it's like 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. and they haven't eaten all morning, and they're like, I don't know what, and they're acting like they don't want something to eat. It's like you didn't eat all day. You want something to eat, so it's like, it's kind of like, why do people pretend? Especially that's part of the pandemic of like emotional insecurities and emotional problems. You go to, especially start, this is the process of isolationism. It's like the mode of like you're isolating yourself for no reason. And like I see it too. I see it a lot because like whenever I go out, I'm always talking to somebody. Whenever I go out, I at least say hi to somebody. Like whether they want to, whether like if I want to talk to somebody, I'll say, hey, how are you? I think in some way I'll say, I think you're special. I want to talk to you. I feel I see something in you that I don't necessarily see it in myself. Maybe it's not good or bad or something. Maybe I don't see it in myself, but I just want to like congratulate you on being that kind of person. Like I just want to congratulate you for being the person that you are. So that's basically what I do. It's like, and like, I am single too. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to say hi to a beautiful girl? Why wouldn't I want to say hi to a beautiful girl? Because like I'm single and like I like talking to girls. So it's weird because it's like the state of this universe, especially post pandemic, is like, oh, I'm gonna look at this person and then wait till I find them on Instagram or wait till I find them on OkCupid and then talk to them and tell them how I really feel. And it's just like, it's more like that's look, honestly, that's pussy shit. You obviously never been to the military. I'm not saying military people know what they're doing, because a lot of them are just like, are very much, Anyways, I'm not saying people have their shit together, like, but I don't know. It's just, you kind of like think that like everyone has like this mode of freedom. I wish I could actually just like post a YouTube video, because like this is so long. I could just talk for hours. People think that like my life coach certificates may be not real, but I actually have a lot of information to give, and like I see a lot of people. Never mind. Fuck you guys.